It's just interesting how somebody always wants to have their thumb on somebody else's neck. My mother's own mother had died when my mother was 8. And so I was born when my mom was 15 years old. I always tell that story because I don't want people to give up on themselves or their daughters. My father did construction work, and then he later went into the armed services, into the Army, and was part of the Army Corps of Engineers. My parents separated, and my mom moved to Wilmington, and we lived in Millside, which was an old Army barracks. We had no grass and no dirt. We had sand. We lived there until we were able to obtain public housing in South Bridge. We lived right across the street from Eden Park, which was much nicer than it currently is. But there was a swimming pool there and just big areas to run around in, swing sets. The school that I went to was Dunleith Elementary. I was there for 5th grade, and then in 6th grade, I went to Palmer Elementary School, and then in 7th grade, went to Bancroft. I remember 8th grade in particular. We had this young man who was wonderful. He had taught before. He used to always call me a Philadelphia lawyer. So that is really the first time I heard the term lawyer. Probably that 8th grade teacher who kept calling me a Philadelphia lawyer planted the seed. And then just, as you're continuing through school and you're learning, oh, lawyers can do this, lawyers can do that, lawyers can make these kinds of changes, lawyers have influence, lawyers can move a people forward. The housing market had always been segregated. The Polish kids came from Browntown, the Italian kids came from Little Italy, the Hispanic kids were right around 4th Street area. We were on the east side and the west side of Wilmington. So yeah, segregation was there. My mother did what parents are not supposed to do. She used somebody else's address so that I would be in the right jurisdiction to go to Wilmington High. So that's how I got to go there, because you were required to go where you lived. And I was then living on the east side of Wilmington. Wilmington High was very mixed. My first time really paying attention to people who were Caucasian as having different ethnicities. So we had Polish kids and Italian kids, and African American kids and Hispanic kids. In high school, I knew that there were things that were right and there were things that were wrong. I knew that the law was a way to make things right that ought to be right. When I was a freshman at Wheaton, one of the juniors was planning to go to law school. So she's the first person I knew of to even apply to law school, to say, this is law school and I'm going. Once I got into law school, I really loved constitutional law. I just liked what could happen. I knew that the law was a way to make things right that ought to be right. Being a Black woman and being the first attorney in Delaware, you had to fully adopt every aspect of respectability politics. It was, it was lonely, it was scary. So you never want to make a mistake. You don't want to let your race down. But people were also really proud of me. I'd run into people from South Bridge, where I grew up in the projects, and get a thumbs up. So it was all of that. It was all of that.